All right, Kalen, Tsero, or yeah, I guess the T is silent. How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you today?
Good. How do you say your name?
It's Tsero. Kalen
Okay,
Tsero.
Kalen Tsero from Snigwaff. From actually, you're
I'm
both in
currently
waffles.
in. I'm in. We call the breakfast family.
Hmm.
I'm currently in pancakes, although I have started another small alliance as a pet project, and I might actually end up putting Kalen in that
The Breakfast Club. Oh,
breakfast family. It's pancakes and waffles.
yeah, that whole theme coming from Pandemic Legion and their.
Yeah. We have There's also the executive corp of pancakes is French toasts. Um, so no discrimination there.
Wow. It's kind of funny that that theme's kind of gotten picked up by you guys. Were you in Pandemic Legion before?
I was never in Pandemic Legion. I had actually no when I joined Snigvav, I had no plans on joining PL. I only joined Waffles because I had a couple friends who were in Waffles, and they have since moved on to MC or PL, and I just for some reason I just can't see myself ever joining PL. So that's why I'm thinking about just pulling Kalen because a lot of my bros have left for various other ventures. I'm just I don't have many left in Snigvav, and that was what was keeping me there.
Why don't you want to join PL?
I don't. I had a PL always left a sour taste in my mouth. When I was in uni, because we were so for example, one time when we were on Fleet, we were doing a frigate gang, and I was one of the Logi, and we were going near where PL was currently staged, and they dropped I want to say like five supers on us for literally no. We were like a 15-man frigate gang, and they dropped like five supers. It's like we just moonwalked out of there because we're fast, and it's like, why did you even attempt to do that?
Yeah. Yeah, why would you even do that? Maybe to impress the, youngsters, I guess, as they would see it.
Yeah, but I don't know. They did that in response to our frigate gang killing the FC's Tengu.
Hmm. So it's interesting because I don't think I've ever met anybody that was in waffles this close to PL saying, yeah, not really my culture, not really my, I don't really identify with that.
Yeah, I'm. There aren't a lot of us, but there are those of us that do. Like they're either hardcore waffles for life, and I can think of quite a few off the top of my head, like Puchoko. I can't pronounce his last name. Puchoko. He's a hardcore waffle for life guy.
Yeah.
And I mean, even our CEO Reza, while he was in PL, he's now pulled his main into uh, waffles proper.
How many guys are running from waffles?
I don't know if Clay Hikari is officially running, but I know I'm running, but I'm not the official waffles candidate. White Orchid is.
White Orchid, yeah.
Um, so far, the only ones I know are the only ones I know definite are me, are White Orchid, and I. Clay Hikari said he was going to, but I don't know if he ever got around to doing it.
Do you guys talk about it before you decide, or do you have to get permission, or do you say, let's
Um,
both do it?
I don't. I told people that I was going to do it a couple months out before I actually went through the application. Like before they even announced the applications were open, I was saying I'm going to be running for CSM,
Mm-hmm.
and this is my platform. My platform had nothing to do, actually, technically has nothing to do with waffles in a direct sense. We just indirectly benefit from it.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas white is doing directly what would directly benefit waffles.
He's like
So
their representative,
yes,
and you're approaching it
um,
as a player, it sounds like.
yeah. Like I'm going to represent faction warfare space to be precise, because that's the space we live in, um, and it's just I feel that faction warfare with Losec being up on the route and them finishing up their stuff with null, like nearing the approach of the end of the stuff with nullsec, Losec should be coming up soon, and I have a feeling that the way they handle Sav, they're probably going to tackle Losec's issues with going after faction warfare, and that's why I've spent the past probably about 9 months getting contacts and getting into like getting as much as I can for people for representation for faction warfare talking to me.
Mm-hmm.
So because I don't directly participate in it, but I know for a fact that if faction warfare can make or break lowsec, and I want it to make lowsec.
Yeah. How have you felt about how much it's been looked at by CCP in the last few years?
I mean, like how little it's been looked at. I'm not thrilled
Okay.
with that because it's like it's not in a bad place, but it's kind of stagnant. Like with the exception of the big victory for Calmel, which I congratulated Calmel, the members I talked to directly of them, I congratulated them of
It's
their recent victory with like I want to say it was a Villarreal.
mm-hmm. That's Caldari Militia. And what's his name?
Uh, no, it's that I was saying the name of the system that they flipped.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay.
I want to say it was Villarreal. Was it Villarreal?
It's
I can't remember.
Villiol. I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
Villarreal.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I was thinking of the right system. That's been like Galmail held it for like 3 or 5 years or something like that. But so I recently actually had an interview with Ashtarothi of I can't remember his name, his podcast, but
I can't
and
either.
we talked
Oddly
about
enough.
that.
I think he's just doing it as himself, if I'm not mistaken. But Crossing Zebras is the one that publishes it out. And but yeah, you already had your interview with him.
Yeah, I had my interview with him, and oh man, he grilled me. Especially since I'm going to if elected, I will be representing him.
Good. So I won't grill you. I just want to get to know you as a person. First of all, I like asking this question because it kind of tells me where people are. But you started the game when?
I started the game back in 2013. I've always had a passing interest in EVE Online. I've heard about it for years before, but what really drew me to the game was I was browsing Reddit one day, and our gaming popped up of the Battle of Asakai, and seeing the images of that, I always had dreams of being a super capital FC and leading a charge like that. So that got me to actually like looking into I looked more and more in Eve, and my dreams started going more and more wild. And I eventually, in May, pulled the trigger and joined Eve.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the generation, right? 2013, or the brave newbie generation, I call it. And it's a lot of people who saw the example of that kind of amazingness that can happen in an online game. And
It all
so
started with someone hitting jump 2 instead of bridge 2.
that was Boat, the big red boat. Yeah. Um, Funny, he tells that story, and it's a really interesting story. I did an hour-long interview with him, but also he did an interview with Asher, and there was two different times where he talked about Asakai and how it happened and what some of the lessons were. And both those are good interviews. I think that you can get a lot out of if you're interested in that sort of thing. Not you specifically, but I'm speaking to the audience. But so you're part of that generation. What kind of games did you play before?
Before that, I was actually an active WoW subscriber, but I use quote unquote active. I was part of a raiding guild. I was in it for the social aspect of the raiding, and I did a lot of PvP. I had an arena team, and I loved it. But just something about WoW didn't. So before even that, I was a RuneScape player, and I mostly stayed in the wilderness. And because I loved the loss that you incurred if you lost PvP. Whereas WoW didn't capture that same thing, so I was just kind of in between rating cycles. I would just unsubscribe and play single player games, talk with my guild and all that stuff, and then that's when one of the things that really ended up me pulling the trigger was the fact that I found out that Eve always had that like you lose when you die, you lose your stuff, that permanent loss, and it's one of the things that's kept me around.
Yeah, it's kind of vampiric too, because if you kill, you get some of the loot of the person,
Yeah.
which puts it in a different context because now you've built somebody can be a carnivore and basically just pirate all the time, kill other people's ships and take their stuff, and they are enjoying the game at the same time they're getting enriched from it to continue to do the same thing over and over again.
One of my favorite examples of that is my friend Kellen Darkblade or Darklight. Why did I call Darklight? My friend Kellen Darklight from eUni.
Mm-hmm.
One of his favorite ships is the Coercer, and when I was in there, I was always seeing him just like posting kill mail after kill mail after kill mail of him just like going like 2v1, 3v1 and winning. And
Wow.
he would keep doing coerce. He never PvE'd. He only did that. He would pay for his security tags to keep his sex status above neg 2, and he would pay for his ships entirely off the loot of his kills.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like an all meat diet. Well, that's one of the things that's really cool about Eve is there you can actually support yourself through the game in different ways, and it really does seem like there's an actual ecology to it. And so faction war, although you're not directly in faction war, it affects you and it affects your livelihood basically.
Yes. If faction warfare were to die out, I would see less and less fish, quote unquote, fish in the sea. I view my candidacy as this, as I'm basically going to be a game warden. That's how I view it. To when people ask me why I'm going for faction warfare, it's like, well, it's like the same principle as a game warden. The game warden themselves don't directly benefit from protecting the species. They benefit as auxiliary as they're allowing the species to propagate so that other people can and themselves can hunt and enjoy that aspect of it.
So you're joining CSM to kind of protect your herd so that you can continue to live off them?
Basically, yeah.
I love that. um, but that's probably not your only thing. You're also an experienced FC, it sounds like.
I'm what?
Are you an FC?
Yes, I am. I've been doing FC. Actually, to really get me out in the waters of being an F of being take out fleets more often, I've actually started a monthly roam because of a joke, pretty much a joke in Tweet Fleet's anime club. Um, and that I've started taking out a monthly. We call it Weeb Fleet public roam.
Hmm. Weed Fleet. Is there a reason for that name?
One moment.
Oh, sorry. It sounds like you're getting a call.
Yeah, sorry. I just had to tell. It was my mom. I just had to tell her I was in the middle of something.
Oh,
Anyways. Uh,
tell your mom we
so
said hello from Eve
I
Online.
will.
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 27. I just turned 27 last week.
Okay.
But the name for the Weeb Fleet is we were trying to think of what to call the public roam, and that just kind of like stuck because a weeb is just basically another nowadays. It's just now another name for a fan of anime. And obviously, if we're all an anime club, we like anime.
Oh,
So yeah, and Nitrous Denetrace, I think his last name is. When I convinced him to join Waffles, him and I were doing what we called Weeb Squad, and it was just when we would go out and go do duo activity, late night AUT or yeah, basically AUTZ. And so we just ended up calling it Weeb Fleet when I have made the monthly roam official several months later.
Weed Fleet. I've actually heard of that.
You might have heard of it because it's been on Reddit. Because Karina, I cannot even pronounce Karina's last name, but he made a Discord after Gobbins banned after Gobbins banned anime pics from Horde Discord, and Karina ended up getting anime pics banned from Honor's Discord. Uh, he went and made the Weeb Fleet Discord, and I'm one of the heads up there now.
Can I get in on that? Can I
You
get
want to
an
get in on it?
Can I
Yeah,
get an invite?
I'll send you an invite.
Cool. Yeah, I think I have heard
Um,
of Weed Fleet. Go ahead.
yeah, and also very recently, you might have anyone who goes to Reddit might have seen that we started. From there, it actually evolved into the small pet alliance or not pet alliance, but little pet project that I've said, where it's a small alliance that I actually want to see grow into being something, become an actual major powerhouse. People in that Discord were like, "Hey, we should make an alliance. We should make an official alliance." And like a few days ago, I actually pulled the trigger, and we now have the Sundari Triad.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you have some experience organizing people.
A bit, yeah. I'm always voted, and before that, there was an alt, a group of us from EUNE made an alt alliance, and I was elected executor for that,
Wow.
as well as head diplomat. I don't know what is with people electing me head diplomat.
Well, you talk pretty. Maybe that's part of it. Um, well, that's cool. It's interesting. Do you think that you need to be in faction war to properly represent it, or do you think you don't have to be?
I don't think you have to be, because as long as you remain in contact with your constituents, which I do plan on doing. I'm going to be taking the Gentana route of organizing a lot of roundtables and town halls and such like that, um, where my constituents can talk to me and I can hear their grievances. I can hear what they have to say, and they can be heard by me. And actually, I honestly think it's probably better. No offense to Silas Black.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I honestly think it's better if someone who isn't in a militia to be representing them, because of something Ashtarothi said of um, you can't confirm. Not like I said, and once again, not saying anything bad about him. Not I've talked to him a couple times. I like the dude. But you can't guarantee that they're going to remain absolutely impartial when something comes up that affects them.
Well, you can't deny that. If you have a suspicious mind, you'll go there and stuff. But I think, if you look at somebody who's an adult, basically, and sees the game as a game when they're outside of it, then that becomes less of an issue. I've noticed that with CSM 11, people had all kinds of grudges going in, and it seemed like all of them kind of rose above it to be people outside the game as, participating. But your point is taken. That if you have somebody who's an interested party, like the leader of Caldari Militia, and he's representing faction war, then he may not represent the interests of three other empires as well as his own. He may not even know the interests of three other empires as well as his own.
And they might not be as willing to open up to him, because in game they are, like, especially when.
I lost you there. Can you repeat that?
Yeah, I got, and I guess I ended up moving to the moving channels. Anyways,
Mm-hmm.
they might not know, or they might, because he, like, we'll take for example with Calmel, uh, Galmel might not be as open to talking to him, because in the game they're enemies.
So it wouldn't even be his doing. It would just be like they don't want to deal with somebody from the opposite militia.
I mean, there's so many factors going into it.
Interesting. All right. Well, tell me about Snigwaff or Waffles. What's it like in that environment? How does that? You seem like an advanced player. What's Waffles done to kind of like be a part of that?
Um, so, like, what do you mean exactly about that?
Yeah, I listened to my own question. I thought, what a miserable question. It's so isolating. But I wanted to know if Waffles has been a part of your career. Like, have they made you a good player?
They've
Or would you have
taught
been a good
me.
player anyway?
I think I would have gone. I probably would have advanced along, very much along the same lines, regardless of where I went after uni. I just knew I needed to leave uni to grow more as a player. Um, my my stepping out to FC more was actually a part of me joining Anime Club and them pushing for a public realm. Um, but it was, I don't know. It's hard to say. Waffles just has a very unique culture, in the fact that of how we view pretty well everything.
Hmm.
I think Sniggeredly is the only other corp that has a similar enough culture, which is why most of us end up going to Sniggeredly.
But you're interesting. You didn't do that. That's not your goal at all.
Nope, I don't ever plan on going to Sniggeredly. Even though a bunch of my friends like Corkin Belderoff went to Sniggeredly. For a while, Sissa went to Sniggeredly. Karishnikov went to Sniggeredly. They eventually came back.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't see myself ever going to PL, because not the stigma, but the ever since what PL did back in the day when I was in uni, they just have always left a sour taste in my mouth.
Well, I'm sure they've done a lot of it since. I mean, they're known for bashing on Brave and all this other stuff that's happened. It's just the top. That's the surface level stuff. But now they have ad hoc. Sorry, not advocacy. That's a great group. They have adversity, which is less than a great group. They let into their ranks and stuff. And actually, NC is seeing some people, move over because they don't want to be in the same place as adversity.
I'm actually a little surprised they let adversity in.
They didn't. It looked like they were just kind of like like a traditional romance where they're kind of like, well, no, I'm not going to marry you, but maybe we could take walks around the lake together for a while, and that's what happened. They were in the same area for a while. Then they're like, okay, you can come in. So I don't know what happened there. You think it'll hurt their rep?
It depends if adversity continues to be as edgy as they were last AT.
Yeah, that was the worst I've seen in Eve maybe ever.
If
If
they continue to do that, yeah, it'll probably tarnish PL's image a little bit.
and that was that they put a bunch of gas inside their cargo, so when they blew up, and it was named a certain way to allude to
1488 reactive gas.
yeah, so Holocaust. It was a Holocaust reminder kind of thing, and it was edgy, right? Because these guys are edgy and they're so provocative and stuff, and it's it's unfortunate, but there they are, and their reputation follows them. And so it's interesting because you're like kind of a PL guy, but you kind of reject that part of PL. It seems like.
Yeah, it is weird. Like I probably would fit in with PL's culture really well, especially like if I did end up going to Sniggeredly. I just for some reason don't ever see myself. Like I said, I just don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
And as I said even earlier, I'm actually tempted on just pulling Kalen out of the Pancakes fam and just leaving that family for a little bit. Because I do now have the auxiliary ways of talking to my friends who still are in waffles, such as John Faulkner or Wood Vulcan,
Mm-hmm.
through Weeb Fleet, Discord, or an anime club, and just focusing my entire efforts into making this fledgling alliance I've made and making it a reality.
Pretty cool. And so CSM, you would actually go there again to to talk about faction warfare and make sure that doesn't go away because you depend on it so much, and probably especially with Weeb Fleet and stuff.
Yeah, I would because especially with any new alliance for if I do end up doing that, I would have to make sure my members have content, and faction warfare space is one of the easiest places and one of the best places to get content um, outside of the big block null fights.
Yeah, do you like what's going on with Eve now, like the direction it's headed and stuff?
I didn't mind how the direction went with Sav. I just then again I don't live in Sav, so I don't have to deal with Sav lasers nearly as much. I only had to deal with it whenever we go on Sav deployments.
Saw lasers. You mean
Um,
the Entosis device, which is
yeah, the Entosis
yeah.
link. The only time I really absolutely hated it was during World War B, the past big war this summer, or was that last?
Oh,
Was it this summer or last
that
summer?
was last April. Yeah.
Yeah. But when goons turned their timers to AUTZ, that was when I was really active because I was working overnights at the time. That was the time I was active. So my 90% of Waffle Fleets during my time zone where you have 10 guys, five of which are in Entosis T3Ds, the other five are in regular T3Ds defending them.
Yikes. Was that fun?
No, by far no. And my nights were log on, shoot some Sav laser, log off. No, it wasn't very fun. But we had a job. We were contracted to do that, and we had a job we had to do. Um,
Mhm.
I was just so glad when that deployment was over and we went back home and we were just able to pew just to pew.
Yeah. I'm really interested in this Weeb Fleet concept. So the Weebs fight the anime
No, we're fighting for anime.
for anime. Okay. Sorry, it's
Yes,
all new to me, and I really want to learn about that.
yeah, weebs are fans of anime, and we're often made fun of. And we have a group of people who claim that they hate anime, but I say they're closet weebs in that Discord. They constantly tell us that we need to get out and all that stuff, and it's like, no.
Okay, so
Um,
I'm clearing this up. You like anime.
oh, I love anime.
Yeah.
I maintain a Crunchyroll subscription, and I watch the newest anime at like within an hour of it coming out in Japan. I can watch it subbed.
Is it manga? Is it what?
It's cartoons basically, not really, because it just call it cartoons. What the Western audience thinks of cartoons is it's cartoons in the way that South Park or Rick and Morty are cartoons, as
Right.
well as your average like regular show and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's
It
funny.
spans,
In other languages, they don't say cartoons; they say animated figures or
yeah,
something like that.
yeah, and so that's what I mean, and that's what anime really breaks down to being is just animation.
Mhm.
Um, and so you have everything from like Berserk, which is this like it's about a guy who wields this sword that's larger than him called the Dragon Slayer, and it's cursed, and it's cursed in the way of he's doomed to be constantly in danger, and he just like it's very visceral, and he's like bifurcating people, just splitting them in half, and you
Oh
just
my god.
yeah, it is like you have stuff like that, and then you have all the way down to stuff like slice of life animes where it's just everything's all happy go lucky, and even like down to like little kid stuff.
Yeah, so it can be dark.
Oh, it can get real dark. And some of them like Berserk, I have the biggest crush on Berserk. I love it. It's always been one of my favorite animes.
I love the idea that you can tell that somebody's a closet weeb. That's awesome. Um, all right, so you guys fight on behalf of anime. That's something obviously that you do like. Um, by the way, why aren't you playing like Final Fantasy or anything like that?
I actually bought Final Fantasy. I just can't get my Squeenix account to work right for it, so I've never used my first month of it.
Yeah,
I just can't kind of gave up after like trying for like 2 months. I'm like, I'll just eventually get the effort to go back to trying to get this thing to work.
yeah. And it seems like you have a lot of energy for Eve, even if you like those other games too.
Oh yeah, Eve has always been one of the, like even so I fairly recently ended up taking a couple months break from Eve because I was burned out from I was suffering burnout from doing heavy bureaucratic stuff, wearing like 4 different hats. Well, in my time in E Uni, I was a wormhole campus officer, education officer to be exact.
Hmm.
So I had to schedule bi-weekly what they call noob nights in the hole, and that's where we get people from the greater uni to come and visit the wormhole campus. And I had to lead them, and which would teach people about wormhole mechanics and all that stuff. I do that bi-weekly, as well as I was a titles officer, one of the very few titles officers at the time who was able to go and work on freshman and sophomore applications completely by myself. And we had a pretty well bare titles department, so it was just basically me working the sophomore applications.
Hmm.
And that was so I had to work on that constantly, as well as I had to do a few other things, and it was just like all of that ended up burning me out of Eve for a little bit. So I ended up taking I've tried to play Eve while suffering through the burnout, and it didn't work out. So I ended up taking a 3 month break, wanting to come back to Eve after like week one.
Oh, really? Wow. So you're
Yeah, no,
suffering.
like I was talking to my friends who told me that they're like, you really need to take this break. You need to take this break before you completely burn out. And when I finally took their advice, like after week one, I'm like, guys, I want to come back.
I'm ready. They said no.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, no, you need a longer break. It's like,
That's so funny. It has that kind of pull on you.
So when December finally came, I'm just like, I can't do this anymore. I need to do it. So I came back in December, and I've and recently that my all my energy has gone into this Weeb Fleet thing, and it actually made my PvP activity suffer.
Hmm.
And that's why I'm in pancakes now, is because Waffles requires a 60 kill for new returns and new Waffles. You have to do 60 kills in 60 days in a 6 day rolling cycle, and I didn't meet that. I was at like 40 some odd. Because I was ending up pouring a lot of my time and effort into the
I think that
the
kind of
early stages formation of this.
not to interrupt you, but that stuff is so dumb because I know they need to measure your activity in some way or another, and it's too bad there's not a different way because that leads to really dumb stuff like whoring on kill mails and shooting pods and shooting Sino alts, and it just seems like holding somebody down till all your friends can get one shot into them and stuff like that.
I mean, in theory, it's basically just go on one strat op a month, and you should be good. But
Unless you come up empty.
the few strat ops I went on when I came back, we ended up like one of them. We jumped through a wormhole, and even then, like through we went through a Titan bridge, jumped through a wormhole, and went like 8 jumps more. Sat on a gate for like 20 minutes just to be told the fight's not gonna happen. We have to head home,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, so we went through all of that just for nothing, and that's basically this was one of the few strat ops I had the time to be able to come on.
Yeah, I run into that all the time, and it's infuriating. Luckily the people understand if they're good CEOs, they kind of understand that happens a lot. I remember one month, all the fleets I went on came up with 0, and when I did go on one, I was logistics, so I didn't kill much, and I don't put out a drone to shoot things to get my kill board up or anything like that. I just concentrate on actually saving people, and it just you kind of roll with it, but when they're really strict about those, it gets kind of like unfair, really.
I mean, no offense to Waffles, I love them, and it honestly does work for them, because I haven't had much time for Waffles themselves. So honestly, I shouldn't be. I honestly agree with the activity purge of myself,
Mm-hmm.
because I've been too busy doing this other thing, that I don't have time for Waffles, and it's for them it works.
Yeah, and it works out for you too. It looks like, because you're putting your time into something you like, which I gotta investigate. This stuff is, I hate saying the word investigate, but I gotta look into because it's really interesting.
Oh yeah, no, you'll get prepare yourself. It's interesting at times, such as you will see one of my friends, his Discord name on there is Kalen's waifu, because of a joke. Someone basically we have a bot on there, Tatsumaki, who it has an 8 ball function,
Mm-hmm.
and someone Uchenola, I don't know how to pronounce Itachi's last name. Um, he and I were friends in anime club, and so we both came over to this Discord. And because we've already been friends, we were already buddy buddy. And someone basically made the joke that we're a couple, and we, of course, us being us, we went with it. And then someone officially made the 8 ball thing. Is Itachi Kalen, or are Itachi and Kalen a couple? And the 8 ball came back most definitely yes, and it's like, oh, okay, so it's official. So now that's a running joke inside there.
Joined by the 8 ball.
Yep.
Well,
8 ball knows all.
Yeah, other couples have had worse. Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure meeting you. Very interesting. So for the people who want a candidate that understands their anime needs, you're definitely the guy for them.
Oh, definitely. They should totally come by.
This is your guy out there.
Come by the WeFleet Discord. Whether if you just want to talk about anime, we absolutely love to do so. We have several channels devoted to it, as well as if you want a home, if you're tired of being told to get purge yourself, and all that stuff. Go home, weeb go away, so on and so forth. Come to join the actual Weeb Fleet Corporation inside the Sundari Triad Alliance.
That's awesome. That's WEEB Fleet.
Yes.
I love that. I'm going to look into it. Hey, it's nice to meet you, Kalen. Good luck with your candidacy.
Yep. Nice talking to you.
You too.